Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Rewilded Wellness Podcast. It's me, Lydia. In today's episode, I want to share some important thoughts with you. I've got a lot of them. The other day, I shared a post about what I'm seeing in the holistic health space and why it feels so overwhelming and scary lately. It's like everyone's sprinting when they need to learn to walk first, right? The internet has created this knowledge overwhelm where people think they can, DIY their way through complex healing by doing everything at once, right? And even health influencers aren't helping with this. A lot of them are chasing the sexiest, trendiest things too. But here's what I've learned after 11 years of working in the online space in holistic health. The most boring foundations create the most exciting transformations. You can't rush a plant to grow faster. You can't skip soil preparation. And you definitely can't harvest before the roots are established. The patience that gardening has taught me this year is exactly what healing and living, being in our aliveness, requires. Slowing down to build foundations isn't saying don't do anything. It's saying slow down enough to organize and make sure the foundation you're building is solid because, let's be honest, you wouldn't be looking if the current one already was, right? None of us have had the fortune of having a perfect health foundation set properly since we've been alive on this planet. We've had this emphasis too on all the symptoms, right? Versus our terrain, our environment. But if we looked at the terrain more deeply and more thoroughly and more patiently, we'd understand why the symptoms, individually and collectively, are so very prevalent right now. And what if we all had the main foundations in place from the get-go, right? The right elements. I mean, that's the world I'm over here trying to build one person at a time. Anyways, I've never seen a single person have their foundation for health and life set perfectly properly, right? And it's not just practical, it's deeply psychological too. Now, to me, the most exciting thing you can do for your health is actually what everyone thinks is the most boring. And that's getting your foundations right first. Now, today, I cut my hair sample for my 44th hair tissue mineral analysis. I've been testing every quarter for 11 years, and I like to do it March, June, September, and December. That's just my thing. It's, each one of those months has a new season, right? And September happens to be my birthday, and that's when I started. And in September, 11 years ago, coming up, right? Now, this ritual, it has me reflecting. I'm a deep reflector, you guys. And I realized there's a lot of profound wisdom that I've gathered during this journey and these past 11 years. What started as first of all, it was calling me, the minerals were calling me for a while before I actually jumped in and did my first hair test. But it really just started as this check-in, where am I at? What's going on here? It became so much deeper, though, over the years. And the body of work around hair tissue mineral analysis, to be honest, is still really quite young if we think about it. And it's only just been gaining wider acceptance in recent years. But what's missing in this space, in my opinion, is the mentorship and elder wisdom that connects us to more ancient healing traditions, because the other thing that I think is still very young is allopathic modern medicine, even though it's all we all know, being alive on the planet, right? It's still young compared to traditional healing wisdom, right? If you think of it like TCM, for example, traditional Chinese medicine, or roots in herbalism, and all these other potential modalities we could name and bring up, right? They're ancient, they're old, and they have a lot of wisdom. Um, Anyways, I've spent these last 11 years nonstop studying, nonstop learning from other healers, um, but more so from healers rooted in some of the more traditional modalities, things like herbalism, right? And so to me, the perspectives from those modalities reveals what's often lost in the technical noise and even the arguments over, how to approach things like HTMA, like who's right? Is it copper toxicity? Is it copper deficiency? You know what I'm saying? Like, um, over these like westernized clinical protocols of our times, right? And the thing is your hair test, your HTMA, it isn't just data about like mechanical, technical things or what supplements to take or how well you even followed the protocol you were given. It's really your body's response to your life, to stress, to growth, to healing, to transformation. Your body is continuously adapting to layers it even created previously. And honestly, it's a beautiful dance, even if it feels like you're tripping over your feet at the moment. Each test for me, and maybe you, I don't know what everyone else is doing out there, but for me, it became a quarterly check-in with my own transformation journey. Because the only constant, y'all, is change. It was never about perfection. Early on, I was like overly analytical and, looking at it like I was getting a grade, looking at it as a performance, right? But it's not about performance. It's not about how well you performed. It's not about perfection. It's really about witnessing your body's intelligent response to your evolution. Okay. And your mineral patterns and your mineral system and the information coming out of your hair doesn't lie. It just tells when you are in a holding pattern. The mineral adaptation patterns we see in the HTMA, they even tell us when shit's breaking loose. These adaptation patterns, these markers, these readings, they're just honest. It's just telling the truth, right? And most people want, oh, what's the protocol? What's the supplement fix? Right? That mechanical, modern, westernized approach, right? But the real medicine, in my opinion, after 11 years, is actually facing what your body is trying to show you. And man, you guys, I can't wait to share the rich wisdom that I've gathered over these 11 years with you. I have something in the works I'm planning very soon. My birthday is September 4th, so expect something around then. Now, I want to go a little further with some thoughts with you. There's a lot of things that swirl around in the holistic health space in trends or patterns, right? Like I'm a pattern picker upper, if you will. Like I pick up on patterns. And I've been seeing a lot of common phraseology and, things going on out there. And I recently saw a post from someone that I actually respect. I totally respect. I love their body of work. And this isn't the first person that I've actually heard come at this from this lens, okay? So, um, anyways, I this is like many times I've heard a similar message from people, and I was like, hold the press. Now, this is what the person said. They said, maybe you don't actually need healing. Maybe you just need more courage. Now, his point was that calling ourselves healing or on a healing journey implies that we're broken. And since everything is energy and vibration, we're essentially manifesting brokenness by using that language. Okay, I get his point. Language matters. Energy matters. It absolutely does. But this black and white thinking is exactly what's wrong with so much of the wellness space right now. This either or mentality that bypasses the messy, complex reality of being human. Here's what I know after 11 years of essentially tracking my data, if you will, really my hair test, my minerals, watching my body respond to my life. Sometimes it's not just an energetic issue. Sometimes, we can say trauma. We can use the word trauma, stress, whatever terms you feel comfortable with. There's a lot of gray and nuance about that as well. But basically, sometimes it's just stored in your nervous system. Things are stored in your nervous system. They're stored in your body. And these stresses that we can call trauma create real physiological patterns that show up in your hair, your hormones, your digestion. Now, those patterns, they're not just a low vibe. That's your body responding intelligently, I might add, to your current environment and your current experience. And the truth is, we need both courage and healing. We need the courage to face what's real. And we need the wisdom to know that having things to heal doesn't make us broken. I don't think healing means you're sick or broken. I think healing means there are aspects of yourself that need to be witnessed, that need to be loved, that need to be integrated, that need to be nourished. None of us were born on this planet without the need to become ourselves fully. And that becoming process includes composting the hard stuff, the stuck patterns, the places where we've been wounded or conditioned. You can't courage your way out of everything. Shadow work isn't optional just because we want to stay high vibe. The uncomfortable parts of us don't disappear because we're brave. They need to be seen and integrated. And this is what I mean about new age bypassing of physical reality. Sometimes your minerals are showing holding patterns because there's real stuff to process. Sometimes your body is expressing something that your mind hasn't caught up to yet. That's not broken. That's intelligence. And we can absolutely improve our language around healing without dismissing the reality that we have real things to transform. Instead of seeing ourselves as broken, we can see ourselves as, composting everything into rich soil for growth. That's alchemy, right? Turning the lead of our experience into gold. But pretending the lead doesn't exist, that's not courage. That's avoidance with spiritual makeup on. And here's what I realized in the shower this morning. We were born into our bodies. Our souls chose to be in these bodies for a purpose. But the body I was born into didn't have all the perfect ingredients from a physical perspective to be optimally healthy. And that's not technically anyone's fault. It's just reality, right? Think about it like my garden. I can put a seed in the ground and it will grow. And that's the miracle of life force, right? But just because it's a seed doesn't mean it's perfectly healthy. And just because it grows doesn't mean it's perfectly healthy. Many of my plants are currently struggling right now because we haven't had any rain. and I don't have a chlorine filter yet on my hose outside, right? Like, they're still going to bear fruit. They still look like the plant they're meant to be. But if I were to analyze their nutrient profile, it might not be anywhere near as healthy as another plant that had better soil, cleaner water, optimal conditions, right? Because this is the first time I've grown a garden in this particular plot. And I promise you, the soil could absolutely be better. I know that. Now, does that make my struggling tomato plant broken? Well, I mean, not technically, but does pretending it's perfectly healthy help it thrive? Also, no. So, here's another example. Imagine someone gets all their mercury fillings removed, and the dentist says, "You're mercury free." And the person feels this huge relief, like they're finally not broken anymore. And I genuinely celebrate that relief and that important step. But here's the reality: mercury was in the mouth, circulating through the body for however long they were in the mouth. And I hate to say this, but much of it got stored where we don't know where, deep in the tissues. It's just a fact. It's just a literal fact of reality of having had mercury amalgam fillings in your mouth. Now, acknowledging that isn't self-abuse. It's not calling yourself broken. It's literally just information that's honestly, in my opinion, very valuable for continued healing. And I'll be honest, I've been guilty of this too. I've even said the whole "you're not broken." And there's truth in it, and there's beauty in it, and there's wonderfulness about that. I realize people need to hear it. But I've moved beyond that phrase because it needs so much more nuance. I've also been guilty of simplifying things to feel better in the moment myself, right? But I've also realized that didn't serve me in the long run. And hopefully you see where I'm going with this. Do you see why this distinction and clarification is so important? It's like saying words are vibration and energy, so why are we not willing to allow the whole messy thing to be true? The same is true when you work with functional testing. You're not trying to get a grade on your test. It's like, did my results get better? Meanwhile, what if not a lot of change happened in your life except for you being willing to be hyper vigilant about your protocol, which I'm raising my hand, y'all. I've been there, done that. What good does it do if you still have massive stress in your relationships, or they're struggling, or you're in a job that's sucking your soul, or you haven't processed massive grief from, a divorce or, something in your life, right? When we look at the whole of ourselves, we have to look at the whole of ourselves. And that's the gift. We don't have to do it all at once. Okay, I'm not suggesting getting hit with a fire hose and feeling like you're going to drown by all the reality, but having the courage to face the whole allows the healing to be whole. And we can also be healing and living fully at the same time. Both can be true. The point is, it all can be composted back into something useful, right? I had a whole podcast episode recently about compost versus correction, I believe. When you think about compost, all those dead leaves on my tomato plants, have not gone to waste. They went to the compost pile where they're going to return to the ground, get gobbled up, and spit back out as new matter that creates new life. So we can talk in terms of energy and vibration and acknowledge material reality. Energy and vibration isn't just positive vibes only. Just because we set a positive intention doesn't mean there's not real decomposition happening, real facts to face. I got a cut today and it hurt. I feel capable and courageous, but I also feel pain. Someone in my life left me and that hurts and needs to heal, but I also have the courage to face the fact that the hurt is there and it's affecting me. It's weird when we skip over our humanity. It's like you can't be all of who you are. Now you have to be this higher version of yourself. But the highest version of yourself is accepting the whole complex range of being human. High vibe isn't real if it excludes half of human experience. So when we step into functional nutrition work, which is what I do, I support people with functional tools and tests that gives me a better understanding of your current terrain and your adaptation to that terrain. So you can heal and have courage to heal and also live your life more fully. You can be on a journey and also recognize your divinity within your humanity. This is the deeper work, my friends, and I'm happy to support you in it. In the work that I do, I have two options. The deepest dive is my Rewilded Wellness program. And then there's my signature program, Minerals and Microbes, where we work with the two functional core tests that I use, hair tissue mineral analysis and the biome effects. These are the layers and the nuances we get into. And I use functional nutrition testing and data, but I listen to your whole story. So we can support your whole adaptation story, your mind, your body, your soul, your current reality, right? Because this is terrain healing. And I do believe the body heals itself, but it heals within environmental factors. And when those conditions are more optimal, the healing is much, much, much more thorough. All right, well, those are the thoughts that came through today for me to share with you. I hope that you found them helpful and to meet you wherever you're at on your journey. And until next time, I hope you stay wild, stay well, and I'll be with you very soon.